Welcome back to Louisiana. I am Samuel, and today we're going to be doing a little experiment. We're going to be doing a test on something I'm going to be calling the photographer's dilemma for this video. So let me explain what that is. So recently, I was looking at some cool places to go photograph, kind of around, my area in Louisiana and some surrounding states, and there weren't really many close to me. In fact, the one that stood out the most that I really wanted to go photograph is this lighthouse in Mississippi called the Biloxi Lighthouse. Now, this lighthouse is a 4-hour drive away. So, 4 hours, that's kind of a long drive. That's an 8-hour trip there and back. And if I'm just going to get some photos, that's a lot. 8 hours of driving purely to take a couple photos. But, I'm off school for the week. It's Thanksgiving break. So we're going to do this. We're going to go on this trip. We're going to see what it's like. And I can give you my honest opinion if driving a long distance just for some photographs is worth it for a photographer. So let's get into this video. Yeehaw! So this Biloxi Lighthouse was built in 1848 on the coast of Mississippi, and it's been through a lot of storms, a lot of hurricanes. Some of these storms and hurricanes knocked down other lighthouses in the area and even destroyed the little house by this lighthouse for the keeper to live in multiple times, but the lighthouse was fine. Now this lighthouse is actually built out of cast iron, so it was cast and then put in like 3 or 4 different stages, and all were erected, has a brick inside, and it's a really cool landmark in Mississippi. In fact, it's on the National Register of Historic Places. So we're going to be going here. We're going to be getting some photos. One of the interesting things about this lighthouse is the only lighthouse in the United States in the middle of a United States highway. So we're going to be able to do something very unique. We're going to be able to set a long exposure on the camera and get light trails of the vehicles going by on either side of the lighthouse. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. And since it is on the beach, there's going to be the ocean out there. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to get some cool sunset shots on the ocean because I've never really seen a sunset on the ocean. We're going to be able to photograph it. So I'm really excited for this opportunity. I think it's going to be worth a 4-hour drive. We're going to find out later. So let's get going. So on our way to the Biloxi Lighthouse for our photo, we are now pulling by this John C. Ctennis Space Center. It's right at the border of Mississippi. We're gonna run in and see what's here. Here's a pretty nice little fountain with the Infinity Science Center sign. Right here is a Lego built model rocket, and then over here is a actual rocket engine. Look how massive that thing is. We got to get out there and get a better look at it. That thing is just huge. Here's a model of the lunar lander, but if we look over here, this right here is a booster rocket for the Saturn V. Look at how massive this thing is. I don't even know if you can get an idea for the scale, but this thing is huge. These are just the tires for the trailer holding up this massive rocket engine. Here's a little schematic showing what everything does. This right here is the module that we are looking at. So from here to that little ring down there is what I'm thinking is this ring right here. So from there to there, it's just the model that we are looking at here. So maybe this can give you a scale of how huge the final rocket would be. So here's the other end of this rocket, and you can see all this stuff that goes into it latching on to the next stage. I'm assuming that there's a little mounting piece that would fit inside there, then everything else can latch on, but I'm not sure how that worked exactly. Just look at this shot, the huge rocket in the background and this massive lunar lander. These things have way more size than I ever would have guessed just from the photos I've seen of them. I mean, I cannot convey just how huge these things are in person. By the way, look at this fun little sign we saw. There's some venomous snakes hanging out somewhere in this grass. I don't think I would go walking in there. Right here is this F1 rocket engine. This is one of those single nozzles we saw on that entire booster module over there, and you can see how huge these are. As you can see, I can fit inside the entire rocket. I found this spacesuit, so I'm gonna get it. This right here is a Saturn IB rocket. It was used in a first test program that took 3 astronauts to space, not to the moon. This right here is a replica of the Saturn V rocket, which actually went to the moon, and we just saw the booster module, which extends from there to about there, I think. Here's a model of a lab in the International Space Station. We're just gonna walk into it real quick because I've always thought the space station is pretty cool. You can see all the model equipment they have in here. Here's all the computers I've seen. You're gonna leave this other side over here. There's your spacesuit for when you have to go on a little spacewalk. I'm not sure why that helmet's there. I don't think that's the right one. I guess you could wear a Spartan helmet on your spacewalk, but you might not survive that one. Pretty cool. Oh look, there's your sleeping station. So I guess you get to sleep standing up. I need to jump in there and try it out. And there's even, what kind of a Mac is that? But hey, at least there's your napping station right in there. Right now we're on the second story of this museum. Right there's the lunar module. And over here is this rocket engine we were looking at earlier, this booster stage. As you can see, even though we're on this second story, it's still huge. And in fact, I can go out this door and take a peek at it. This is how big this thing is. It's still taller than we are, and we are on the second story. That thing is just massive. So apparently the door I just walked out to show you guys that rocket is an emergency exit only. And if you open it, the emergency alarm sounds, and I can't get back in. The alarm didn't sound, but now I have to walk all the way around the building to get back in and go upstairs. Was that the alarm? I don't know what I've done, but I've done something. This tire right here is a tire that went to space in 1997. So this tire actually went to space and came back, and that is pretty cool. I'm gonna get to touch it. So I'm not entirely sure what this is. We're gonna read this line. This is a linear area of spike engine. Okay, so it puts out the equivalent of about 40 male elephants. That's a lot, but I'm not sure what it gets used for, and I don't think I've ever heard of it before. So it's not gonna be visible on camera, and I was just looking at this, but there's this black material here, and it's actually carbon fiber, and I haven't seen much of this in my life, but it's so cool to me. So that right there is carbon. In fact, you might be able to see the weave in it. There's some holes drilled in it that kind of mess it up, but that is carbon fiber. So this is the Aero spike engine, and I think this video says some stuff about it. It seems to be experimental and not have used an actual aircraft, but it was tested. Here's the video of this engine being tested, so we're gonna see what this looks like. Now it's not a rocket, but it is a jet engine. Look at this nice little contrail left going all the way down over there. So I'm out here shooting, cars are rolling by, and here's the lighthouse. We made it to it. The sunset's awesome. The only issue is it's a little bit bright, so I'm only able to get about 1/8 of a shutter speed with f-stop of 11. I am zoomed in a good little bit, and I also have an ND filter on. I want to get a little bit darker because with this, I can't get quite as much light trails as I want from these cars rolling by. When I'm able to get the perfect shot, it's gonna look amazing, and I'm gonna get it. I just gotta wait out this light and stop it down a little bit, but I'll pop a little photo right here, and that's what it looks like. It's looking awesome. That photo is good. I just want a little more light trails from these cars I'm currently getting. All right, so it's now getting dark enough to finally take some test photos. Right here, I'm shooting at a little over 1 second exposure, and I'll show you how many light trails I can get. Here goes the photo, and right there you can see some trails. It's looking pretty good, so we're gonna keep dialing this in until we get the perfect one. After shooting for a while, we packed up and headed home. I didn't film much of that because it was late and we were just driving, but let's look at my final photos. Here's some of the photos I got from the Biloxi trip. We have this one of a seagull. I had actually a really perfect seagull photo with the sunset in the background. And then we start getting into some more action. We had this bird flying. This was actually a really cool one. I really liked it. And then we had all this row of seagulls down up here. Then we got up to this lighthouse. This is a portrait photo of the lighthouse, and there were some light trails down there. This was not the best one I got, but it was a really good start to our afternoon shoot. This is my personal favorite photo I took. The sunset was just glowing. The clouds were moving in at the perfect amount, and we had an amazing amount of cars rolling by, which is actually hard to get than I thought. We just had to wait out for the sun to go down and to get the right amount of traffic on the road. And then we had this one over from a side view angle where we had some shrubbery up here, some tree branches, and that just kind of gave the photo some foreground. I did shoot this as a really high f-stop. This is at f11. So these leaves are in focus and the lighthouse way out there. They're all in focus, so that was pretty cool to me. I could have blurred them a little bit, but I liked having everything in focus. Kind of did flatten the image out a little bit, gave everything a little crispness in the photo, and just added to how bright the photo was, even though it was getting dark. The photo has a nice light and colorful feel, so I like that. And then we had this one with the sign and the lighthouse in the background. This one was an interesting photo to take. I had to line up the sign. I couldn't quite get the entire writing over here in, but I did get the Biloxi little plaque there, which was pretty nice touch, I thought, to this photo. And then I had this sunset on the beach. I've never shot a sunset on a beach before. This one was super cool. And one thing I did is I actually shot a little bit longer exposure. This wasn't a long exposure at all, but it was like a little over a second. So the waves aren't crisp. They're kind of flattened out a little bit. They're just flowing. And the softness of the water looks really, really nice. I do like how this photo came out. The sunlight reflecting on the water was just perfect. It was spectacular. So overall, I think my photos here turned out really, really well. And let's talk about if it was worth it. It is now time for the final review of if it was worth going on a 4-hour drive just to take some photos. And of course, it's an 8-hour round trip. We must keep that in mind. So here's what I think. Because it was something new, I've never done this before. I've never really been close to a lighthouse. I've never gotten photos of a lighthouse. I've never seen a good sunset on the beach or gotten photos of one. I've also never even been to a rocket museum like that we got to see. And that wasn't even in the plan. We just saw it driving by. I said, hey, we're going in here. I've heard of the place before. I've never been there. So all that in total made it worth it, in my opinion. It was super fun to get to do new stuff and to take some new types of photographs I've never taken before. So I think overall, if it's something you've never done before and you really think the experience is worth it, you have to count that in to just how long your trip is and how much you're going to be put out just going to get some photos. Now, if I have, have very similar locations near me, or if I've done something like it before, I don't think I would be saying that it was as worth the long drive that it was. But this is a little insight into what being a photographer can be like. Sometimes you have to actually go out and put yourself in some slightly uncomfortable situations just to get some good photos, whether you're out in the cold, out in the hard weather conditions just getting photos, or if you're just driving a long time. But overall, I really enjoyed the trip. It was super fun, and even from a non-photographical perspective, it was just enjoyable to have my week off from school and jump in the truck, go on a little trip, see some cool stuff, do some cool stuff, film a YouTube video, and take some epic photographs. Thank you so much to my grandfather for going with me and letting me drive his truck and him drive me a lot of the ways. So it was super fun. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your grandmother, comment down below if you go on any trips to take some epic photographs. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.